He lived his life by the cold, clean metrics of logistics. As the CEO of Apex Global Logistics, he didn't move trucks, he moved data. He optimized routes, shaved seconds off delivery times, and managed a digital empire that spanned continents. His world was one of spreadsheets, satellite tracking, and quarterly projections. Tonight, he was at The Gilded, a restaurant where the air was as starched as the linens and the silence was punctuated only by the discreet murmur of other people's success. He was finalizing a merger. Across the table sat two men who represented the old guard of shipping, men who still thought in terms of tonnage, not terabytes. Arthur glanced at his watch. 8:17 p.m. The negotiation was running 12 minutes behind his projected timeline. He subtly signaled the waiter for more sparkling water, his mind already calculating the ripple effect this delay would have on his morning schedule. "The infrastructure is solid, Arthur," one of the men was saying, "but the human cost, these redundancies—" Arthur suppressed a sigh. Human cost, another unquantifiable variable. "The transition will be managed with precision, gentlemen. Our algorithmic models will ensure a smooth integration." He felt his phone vibrate. His real attention was there. A new alert from the Singapore hub. He needed to step away. "Excuse me," Arthur said, placing his napkin on the table. "A minor fire to put out. I will be right back." He walked, not to the restroom, but to a small, isolated alcove near the grand staircase. He pulled out his phone, his face bathed in the blue light. He paced as he dictated a sharp, precise message to his COO. He was so immersed in the crisis, a misrouted container of microchips, that he didn't hear the small sound behind him. When he finally looked up, closing the app, he was no longer alone. A girl was standing there. She couldn't have been more than 8 or 9 years old. She was wearing a simple dress, slightly too large, and her dark hair was pulled back in a ponytail. She was watching him with an intensity that was unnerving. And then he saw it. A deep, vivid birthmark, a splash of crimson and purple, covered her left temple and swept down her cheek, disappearing just below her jawline. It was a map of some chaotic, beautiful imperfection. Arthur was immediately annoyed. "A child here?" He looked around for a parent. "You should be with your family," he said, his tone clipped. He turned to go back to his table. "Are you the box man?" Arthur stopped. He turned back. "I beg your pardon?" "My mama says you're the box man," the girl repeated. Her voice was soft, but not timid. "She says you make the boxes go everywhere fast." A waiter was rushing over, his face pale with panic. "Maya, what are you doing? I told you to stay in the office." "Sir, I am so sorry. She is my daughter. She's supposed to be waiting for me." Arthur held up a hand, silencing the flustered waiter. He looked at the girl. "Maya, yes, I suppose I am the box man. I'm Arthur." The waiter looked like he might faint. "Mr. Vance, sir? Her mother works in the kitchen. Elena, the pastry chef. Her shift ended, but Arthur ignored the man. He crouched slightly, an unusual and uncomfortable position for his expensive suit. He was looking at Maya. "Why aren't you in the office, Maya?" I wanted to see you," she said. She held up what she was carrying, something he hadn't noticed. It was a notebook, not a school notebook, but a thick, leather-bound artist's journal, its cover worn smooth at the edges. "You wanted to see me?" Arthur found himself inexplicably intrigued. The merger could wait 3 more minutes. "Why?" Maya opened the book. It wasn't filled with drawings of flowers or houses. It was filled with diagrams, complex, intricate sketches of gears, wings, and small engines. They looked like Leonardo da Vinci's fantasies as interpreted by a child. "This one," she said, pointing to a specific page. The drawing showed a small, six-legged robotic device. "It's wrong." Arthur blinked. "What is?" "The last mile," she said, using the exact industry term. "I heard you talking on your phone. You're worried about the microchips, but you're always worried about the last mile. The problem isn't the trucks, it's the people." Arthur went very, very still. He was no longer looking at a child. "Go on." "The trucks are fine," she said, tracing the drawing with her finger. "They stop at the curb. The package still has to get from the truck to the door, or up the stairs, or to the hospital room. That's the slow part. You need something smaller." She flipped a page. "This is my idea. It's based on a dragonfly." The drawing was absurd. It was mechanically impossible. It was also brilliant. It was a small, autonomous drone, but it wasn't designed for flying, it was designed for climbing. It had articulated limbs to manage stairs and secure couplings to hold a small package. "I watch the delivery men from our apartment. They get tired. They have to sign the little screen. This one, it doesn't get tired, and it can scan the person's eye or their hand so it knows it's the right place." Arthur was speechless. His multi-billion-dollar R&D department had been working on the last mile problem for 5 years. They had prototypes of delivery robots and drones that cost millions and were universally clumsy and inefficient in complex urban environments. This child, with her mother's notebook and a crayon, had just identified the fundamental flaw in his entire strategy. He wasn't solving a logistics problem, he was solving a human interaction problem. He looked at the birthmark on her face. He had first seen it as a blemish. Now he saw it as unique, a unique pattern, a unique mind. "Maya," he started. Just then, a woman in a chef's uniform, flour dusting her eyebrows, ran into the alcove. "Maya! Oh, Dios! I am so sorry, sir. I told her to wait. She likes to draw." The woman, Elena, was terrified. She grabbed her daughter's arm. "You have bothered this man. We are leaving. I am so sorry." "You are not bothering me," Arthur said. His voice was quiet, but carried the authority of a man who owned entire fleets. Elena froze. The waiter froze. Arthur stood up. He looked at Elena. "Your daughter is a designer." Elena just looked confused. "Sir?" "This," Arthur said, gently taking the notebook from Maya. He studied the page again. "This is the most innovative idea I have seen this decade." He looked back at Maya. May I take a picture of this page?" Maya beamed. "You can have it. I have more ideas." Arthur tore a blank check from his checkbook. His business partners were definitely fuming by now. He didn't care. He didn't write a number on it. He wrote his name, his personal cell phone number, and a note. He handed it to Elena. "Your daughter," he said, "has just solved a $10 million problem for me. I am going to have my assistant call you tomorrow. I am creating an innovation scholarship in your daughter's name, and I would like to hire you, Elena, as a consultant. I want to know everything your staff complains about regarding deliveries. I want to know everything." Elena was staring at the check, her hand shaking. Arthur turned back to Maya. "Dragonflies," he said, tapping the notebook. "That's very, very smart." He turned and walked back to his table. His partners looked furious. "Arthur," one of them huffed, "we've been waiting for 20 minutes." Arthur sat down. He laid Maya's drawing, which he had carefully torn from the notebook, on the table. The men looked at the childish sketch, confused. "Gentlemen," Arthur Vance said, his eyes bright with a new kind of energy, a different kind of profit. "The merger is off. The terms are no longer acceptable." The men sputtered. "What? Why?" Arthur looked at the drawing of the six-legged dragonfly robot. "Because," he said, signaling for the bill, "I've just found my new head of research and development, and we're going to change the world. Forget the last mile, we're going to solve the last 10 feet."